Get your coffee out. We're going to have one of those discussions today. We're going to go into that space where we thought was a little crazy, when actually what's crazy is any limiting thoughts that we have right now. I want to talk about the illusion of the matrix. I'm actually going to prove to you today in this video that the matrix, what we are experiencing here, is absolutely an illusion. And, well, I welcome your comments. So, you're ready to go into it? This may help you to see your life completely different. It may free you. Let's go. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube, here to help you raise the frequency of the planet one light beam at a time. Yeah, I'm doing that actually. Are you? Break through fear. That is my quest, is to help you break through fear. Fear is what holds us back. Fear is what controls our thoughts, our actions, because it comes from a belief that somehow you're threatened or that things aren't okay. Now, if you've taken my Breakthrough Fear course, you know that we can break through every possible barrier that we've created ourselves. Now, how is that possible? How can we create our own barrier? Because my thoughts and my beliefs actually change the results in my life. They change the reality. I mean, really change reality, not just my perception of it. Yes. And it is both. When you change your belief and your thought, you change not only your perception of the situation, but it actually will change. Why? Because now what you think and believe about it sends a different frequency out there and a different entanglement, let's just say a varied entanglement that has shifted from where you were, which now entangles with different thoughts, different actions, different people, different situations, different events will actually change in your life. And that's how it works. It's actually quite simple. And we're thinking this is woo-woo stuff I'm creating. Why is the matrix an illusion? And I want to talk about this because I want you to understand how in control of it you are. When you go into one of these big old places here in the United States called Chuck E. Cheese, I have never been, but people with children go into these places where there's a lot of games. And so the child picks the game that they want to play. And then, of course, they really get into it. They might even cry if they lose or get ecstatic if they win and get frustrated and keep playing it till they win. We are no different. Now, here's the thing. The game is the illusion, right? We know when we go into Chuck E. Cheese that those games aren't real and that we will actually leave them and then go back into our lives, our regular lives. Reality is what we call it. So you could say, well, dreams, they're not reality because we wake up and we come back into this, right? This reality. When we go into our, 3D, whatever games, virtual reality games, we can believe everything in it. In fact, your brain actually will believe it and your body will react to it as if it's real. But when you take it off, you are back in here where you might not even choose this. You might even say, I don't want to be here, but I don't have a choice, so it must be real. No, it's not. I'm going to tell you why. So, if a dream isn't reality, when you actually really do go into these spaces, all right? But we'll talk about that in a minute. If a dream isn't reality because you wake up and the body in this reality is actually creating the dream, then this must be the reality, and that is the game, right? That's the illusion. Okay, now everything else that we do, same thing, the virtual. Obviously, when we take it off, we're back into the same body that put the virtual glasses on. If we are not an illusion, then we would have no other place to go to. Okay, you got this? like the dreamer who goes into the dream and comes back to the dreamer's body. We come here from another place that creates the matrix that is in the matrix that eventually we come out of, and we go back to the space that created it in the first place. We are going back to the dreamer. This is the dream. If it wasn't an illusion, then we wouldn't have anything to go back to. And we know we do. And we know that science has proven that there is a consciousness beyond our bodies that never can be destroyed, never was created, always is. And that is the reality. And everything else that comes from it is the illusion, including this. And so I'm proving to you by this statement that we must be an illusion. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a dreamer who could create it. And when this ends, nothing else would exist beyond it. It would be reality, and that's it. Instead, the dreamer created one of those games like Chuck E. Cheese that we chose, we went into. And the reason we believe that this is reality is because when we go in a dream, we come back, we haven't finished the game. So you don't get in the middle of a game and then you just walk away and quit. I mean, you could, but you wouldn't have completed the game. And in this illusion, no one gets out without completing the game on some level. Now, you can quit the game. You can terminate yourself, right? You can walk away from the game and never finish it. So you can terminate the game here on some level. But you haven't really completed it, and you may actually have to come back into the game until you complete it. That's the deal with this game. And every game has its different rules. So you do get out of the game. You do eventually leave the game, and you may not win the game. Actually, nobody can lose. Just playing it alone makes you a master. Now, let's talk about the illusion, because I want to talk about how everything is the illusion of the one. And that is the planets, other beings, things you see, things you don't see. Everything is a creation of the one source that is exploring every possible creation of itself to know itself. You can't know oxygen unless you get pulled out of the water. If you've never known anything but the ocean and you're in it, and you've never gone beyond the surface, you wouldn't know what oxygen is, and you wouldn't know that it could kill you if you're out of the water, if you're a fish. And this is how it all works. So we're knowing ourselves, not this, but through being this. And so now I get to know the feelings and the things that I don't get to experience when I'm in reality. So reality is the best possible place that we ever want to be and what we come from. So there's nothing to ever fear. So everything you do here is so temporary. And everything you do is the test for the game. So instead of battling things and believing this is reality and trying to get the best possible life that you can, and knowing that you're not going to be here that long anyways, you can't take it with you, right? Then we can go into this and say, wait a second, it's about my thought, it's about my action, it's about everything that I do. Everything I do here is the game, not me taking care of the false reality. I had another amazing dream. I have the most unbelievably wonderful dreams. I explore. I'm always in different places. I'm on remote islands. Last night I was on a remote island and I was with friends and we were driving around and we had this game where in order to go on this expedition we had to have certain things, and I had to go into each spot and collect that thing. And I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know what it was I was collecting. I just know that I had to go and have this certificate. So I had to stand in line and go get it. And then I had to run and get the next thing. And I wake up and I've been on this amazing adventure and it's real. It's as real as this, right? At the time you don't know. So you get to experience those feelings and that adventure of a dream. Now, let me ask you a question right now. Do you believe that this is what you are, or do you believe that you are something much bigger, and that there is something much bigger, and that you are actually part of that? So most of us as humans have been told that we're this, and that that something is separate from us, that controls this, or judges this, or grants something, or punishes us. That has been purposefully put into our heads by other humans to keep us in the game, because their role in the game is to squash the freedoms and the creativity of us, to keep us in unconsciousness. And those roles, those chosen roles that people came in to play, are part of the game, so that we would have challenges here. And of course, they have their own things that they have to work through, and that's not to be judged by us. We can't know what their journey is. So if we didn't have all of this, we wouldn't know oxygen. We wouldn't know when we got pulled out that I was in water. So now we've been pulled out into the oxygen, and we're fighting to breathe and try to get back into the ocean. So right now we're going into conscious states of being. And what does that mean? That means that you're aware of the fact that you are that. I am that. I am. So what happens? You go into a place of power that is so amazing. And you stop limiting yourself with your thinking. You break through fear. And you realize nothing can actually harm you, because you're not this. You're that. Playing this. And so everything that you do here has to be in the mindset of triumph and joy and giving and love and unconditional love and non-judgment and all the things that raise your frequency, so that you can ding, 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 win your own personal game and contribute to the team who's also trying to win their individual games, the collective. And then we go on the other side, we're high-fiving, and it's really that simple. And then you realize, oh my gosh, it was all an illusion. It was all a game. Wow. And some of us will say, I want to go back in there. I can do better. And then you forget that you'll forget who and what you are. And we're going into consciousness. Do you understand this is an illusion? If you do, no matter how real it seems, I can help you right now with some of the things that you may be dealing with, and that is step back with whatever you're dealing with that doesn't feel good. It's negative. And I want you to sit and go into it, not retreat. We retreat, and that's struggle. Retreat says, I don't want this, it's real, and I have no control over it. And so therefore, you create struggle, you actually make it worse. Because now there's something I don't like. Go away, why is it here? Well, it's in your head. You have control over it. So when you go into these situations, and there will be many, you can master this, and you step back. And it's not that you won't experience fear or anger or sadness or all these things. You will experience them. You step back from the illusion, and you become the player, and you realize you are the player, not the game. And so the player steps back and says, whew, okay, Pac-Man's coming out, and I have a feeling about that. It's anxious, or I'm upset about this, or fear, or whatever. But I know that Pac-Man is not real. So the more I go into a space of understanding that I just have to find a way to get past Pac-Man, the more you'll relax and actually go into the space where you can do that. So when you have a situation, experience the feelings and actually watch it like an observer. So you sit back and you go, okay, the player is now going to watch the game. I'm getting pelted with negativity, depression, anxiety. A lot of you are feeling this right now. It's prevalent out there. Frustration, people getting angry with one another, just short-tempered and, just fed up, right? And so you look at it and you say, it's temporary. It's the illusion. And yes, I'm experiencing it, but I don't have to become entangled with it. And so you sit and you watch it. And you actually ask yourself, what is that? It's coming from whatever thought, and maybe it's not even yours, maybe you're picking up on the collective, and you just say, I don't have to do anything with it. I don't have to do anything with this. I just have to be steadfast in what I know is positive and is going to keep me on that triumphant journey, those high-level choices. So we go to something else, which means this has to be an illusion, because the something else has to be creating this. It didn't just come from nothing. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll subscribe. Come on over for free videos. One of my manifesting is my free video series. I have some coaching platforms over there that could get you on track. Come and join me. If you're interested in online businesses, we're training people how to become very wealthy in their own right. In other words, what's wealth to you? It's abundance and in every area of your life. There is no lack. Lack doesn't just happen overnight. All of a sudden we don't have all these things. We're creating that, and we can change that. Are you with me? It starts with you. No more blame. No more watching the garbage. It's programming. You got to get with that program, and that is, all of that is a distortion with other intentions coming from a reality that somebody might actually believe that is still in conflict. So why would you participate in that? You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. I have some coffee to finish and more content to create for you. Namaste.